Beauty, it is often said, is in the eye of the beholder. What if the beholder can't see it? Is this a blessing or a curse? Beauty, after all, is rooted in truth, and truth may be an ugly sight indeed. But truth makes no excuses, allows no compromises, offers no comfort. Perhaps, then, we should protect ourselves from the truth, to be blind to it. You see what I mean?
Right now, I've got 5,000 photon torpedoes armed and ready to launch. If you don't believe me, feel free to scan the station.
It's a trick. An illusion created by thoron fields and uranium shadows.
It's no illusion.
We shall see. Just cock.
He said, "Today is a good day to die."
Weapons stations. Fire at will.
Have a lot on your mind.
The sustainable population of our planet is no more than 500 million.
And we're willing to kill 7 billion.
Well, most of those lives aren't worth living. Massive humanity in Africa, India, and China. They live in squalor. They'd be better off dead. The world would be better off without them.
And America will be first.
Yes, well, as our friend Henry Kissinger said, a strong America is the only thing standing in the way of a new world order. We have foreign troops on the ground now, under the UN banner. The country only needs a little chaos.
The American people are resilient. What's to come if the citizens rise up?
Yes, well, when parents see their children starving and families hauled away to FEMA camps for imprisonment or worse, then yes, we expect some resistance at first. But the vanity of nationalism will quickly fade. The people will beg for help, any help. These are but the birth pangs of change. Birth pangs of a new world order.
I think this feedback speaks for itself.
Okay, so look.
In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic processes. We should take nothing for granted. Only an alert and knowledgeable citizenry can compel the proper meshing of the huge industrial and military machinery of defense with our peaceful methods and goals.
Every meal you make, every bite you take, every single lunch with a crispy crunch, you will eat the box.
Breeden. And I have brought you guys his prophetic dreams in the past, but this one here is about a sudden attack. It took place on Tuesday, November 5th, 2019, and he is titling it Sudden Attack. Suddenly, we began to feel the very ground shake beneath our feet. Everyone got quiet and just stopped and looked at each other. Then we began to hear the sound of a very loud roar. It was getting closer and closer and closer. And then I began to hear people in the crowd begin to panic. What is that noise? What is that sound? And suddenly that which was causing the noise now appeared. It was a large armada of fighter jets, cruise missiles, and drones completely filling the skies. I could see them very clearly, and they had writing on them that I did not understand. But it was clearly not American. Then I began to see American fighter jets pursuing some of these foreign weaponry. These foreign forces then began to attack both structure and civilian. Crowds of people began to panic. Huge buildings began to collapse. And I just stood there for a second and watched all that was going on around me as the battle ensued. And sadly, there was massive death and destruction everywhere. It seemed that there was not a single structure left standing. And then suddenly the thought came to my mind. In a moment of time, life has just changed forever as I knew it, and nothing will ever be the same again. You know, David Wilkerson wrote in his book, "Set the trumpet to thy mouth," that America would be destroyed by fire, that sudden destruction is coming, and few will escape. Unexpectedly, and in 1 hour, a hydrogen holocaust will engulf America, and this nation will be no more. He said that America would be judged for her sin, for her violence, her crimes, her backsliding, her murdering of millions of babies, the flaunting of sexual sin, the corruption, the drunkenness, the drug abuse, its form of godliness without power, its lukewarmness towards Christ, its rampant divorce and adultery, its lewd pornography and child molestations, its cheatings and its robbings, and its dirty movies and occult practices. In 1 hour, he said, it would be all over, that America would be shaken and set aside by swift and horrible judgments, and boldly declared that judgment is at the door. Prepare, awaken.
Могу его видеть. Стреляют, товарищ командир, стреляют! Двое его преследуют. Подлетают 70 градусов на юг. Еще один. Их уже 4, которые его преследуют. Их уже 5, товарищ командир, 5. Справа. Среди вышел из здания. 5, товарищ командир, 5. Стреляют, товарищ командир, стреляют! Мы его поймали! Их уже 5, товарищ командир, вышел из здания. Стреляют, товарищ командир, стреляют! Это твой поймали! Господи, боже мой! Оставайся на нем! Держи его! Господи, мне это что не нравится. Улетаем отсюда. Бедняга пропал. Возвращаемся на базу.
I say it's going to get more and more obvious as things move along here. Dan Bongino was the beginning of it. They're field testing a public reaction to all of it. The reality is when it's happening to a whole bunch of people from the alternative media all at once, that may turn into a different story. They declare martial law. How do they think that's going to work? They will instantly find themselves in a electronic cage like myself and unable to get their own side of things out just like myself. But when it's me, it's different. Oh, thank God Russell Brand could speak out and everybody could know the truth. Thank God for Paul Joseph Watson being able to do so. Thank God for Tate being able to do so. Everybody else, and, Alex brings it up. And, and we all know it's a conspiracy. Hello? But with me, it's objectivity. And I'm in the middle of an illegal government program that puts people into it for being whistleblowers. And now conspiracy theorists like yourselves have got to fucking worry about it. Y'all got that one?
Boker Tov Chavrim, I'm Stephen Ben-Nun. You're watching Israeli News Live. And this morning, I actually was thumbing through Twitter real quick, ran across a video by Pastor Paul Begley speaking about President Putin talking about super soldiers, that this is something that is on its way, something that is going to be part of the future. And yes, he is right on that. We also followed up on what Paul Begley was saying and found the article as well. Several articles already out this morning, just moments ago, speaking about this. This article here from dailymail.co.uk, genetically modified superhuman soldiers of the future will feel no pain or fear and be more destructive than nuclear bombs, warns Vladimir Putin. And the troubling thing is, this is something my wife has been studying about, the transhumanism and the wave of the future and what they're planning on doing. And as she has said to me this morning, yes, Putin has been revealing a lot of things that are going on, not just this here, but in other areas as well. Quite a bit of information. So we are going to be doing a special broadcast in about a week with Yana. She'll be bringing this information out to you, going into more depth about this, the superhuman, the transhumanism, the super soldiers of the future, exactly what this New World Order agenda is, why we are having the chemtrails in the air, why the all the different things that are going on in vaccines, etc. These are things that are making way for a very interesting change in our future. So we'll be sharing more of that with you later. I'm Stephen Ben-Nun. You're watching Israeli News Live. Just a quick take of our broadcast this morning as we move on into other news, speaking about North Korea. Shalom.
Of stupidity. Oh, we're agents and it's a rough life, but we were going to perform as agents and we're going to hold you in like we've been ordered to and collect more information. Reality is they're stupid as shit. They were never agents. It took Patsy, came here 2014. She found out at the beginning of 2022. Because that's when the agents out in Phoenix woke up, and that's when Special Ray was alerted to the actual circumstances. So that's, let's see, that is 8 years where Patsy had technology on me and was arrogant and clueless as a result of it. You get it? She did not double check what she believed, like German agents. She couldn't believe that Horvat and her officers are rogue. You get it? The point is, she was never an agent, yet now all of a sudden they're agents and it's a tough job, but somebody's got to do it. Hello? Who the fuck are you kidding, you pissants? I see you. Ask anybody who actually starts to wake up to the real circumstances here and ask them if they see you, you fucks. Who the fuck are you kidding, man? I see you right down to your little booties. You are nothing but one great big fucking lie, and yes, I'm laughing in your face after last night and killing our cat in Germany and everything else, you fuck-ups. So, then Patsy's been trying to sell, well, in regards to the music videos, oh, well, that's threats against us and this and that. She's just inventing her own shit here. Finally, she found out, no, that's about you actually cutting off your own head. Furthermore, you're doing it over lies which you smoke in regards to yourselves and your circumstances here. You get it? That's the reality of Patsy and her pissants here, the walnuts. Not because they have brains the size of walnuts, but because they actually have walnuts for brains. This is where they are in the scheme of things and how intelligent they actually are, never mind the amount of fucking up they do daily. So, everything about Patsy and her pissants here is one great big fucking lie. So that's it. If people seek and you will find. You get it? It's that simple. Follow the FBI and you will not find out one fucking thing. So, you only find out by being fair and honest about finding out in the first place, don't you? So that's it.
Just when you want it.
These two men stumble upon a chilling encounter at the corner of an abandoned house. What they find is a creature that straddles the line between human and monstrous. It has a woman-like figure with an otherworldly, ghastly face adorned with razor-sharp teeth. The creature's mouth opens and closes, a haunting spectacle that sends shivers down the spine. Local residents say it's a jinn. If you don't know what that is, it's a creature from folklore that's known to possess great power. It can either be good or evil. Think of the genie from Aladdin, but this time with free will and all the power in the world. Could be disastrous, right? Anyway, what do you guys think of it?
Okay, I freaked out for a second.
It's going to be thought crimes. This is where they're headed. The other key one I see here is with authority types. They prove themselves with the medical system. Everybody got engaged in murder for money, and that's our healthcare system. How beautiful. Holy fuck. Man, I live on the wrong fucking planet. I'm sorry, man. That one just always gets me, David and Bill here. That one always just gets me. I'm like, the whole world's gone nuts. I'm like, let's see, the whole medical care system just did Auschwitz. Hello? Man, it's evil as shit. But now, the next, why I'm laughing now? Hang on. You know, it's not funny at all. But, I've been working on this video for 2 days straight. So that's part of it right there. But now, the next thing they are going to do, David, is they're going to do this with the authority system. Let's call it the
standoff. Witness the intense confrontation in Wild Standoff as a fearless badger faces off against two cunning coyotes. Marvel at the badger's strategic maneuvers, outsmarting the predators and turning the tables in a thrilling display of survival instincts. This gripping video captures the untamed essence of the animal kingdom, where wit and bravery determine the victor in a relentless struggle for life.
As far as the prosecution of Trump is concerned, this is good for us in today's conditions, because it shows the rottenness of the American system, which cannot pretend to teach others about democracy. All that is happening with Trump is the persecution of a political rival for political reasons. And this is done in front of the public of the United States and the whole world. As far as the prosecution of Trump is concerned, this is good for us in today's conditions, because it shows the rottenness of the American system, which cannot pretend to teach others about democracy. All that is happening with Trump is the persecution of a political rival for political reasons. And this is done in front of the public of the United States and the whole world.
It's spiritual warfare. I will fight in the spirit, but in the sword, yeah. It's chemical warfare. I will send on the rocks and the bumper. It's spiritual warfare. I will fight in the spirit, but in the sword, yeah.
Always have a strong mind. Faith get you through. We're in a spiritual war, and now they're coming for you. Don't matter red or you're blue. Pray for your enemy too. The whole world repent before the Lord descend. Cause if you wait, it may be too late. Get on your knees. Revelation is coming. You'll be begging him, please. See my faith in the Lord will let me take it a sword. And if I'm making you bored, I gotta shake you some more. There's nothing breaking my core. Money the root of the evil. Always ruining the people. Go from true to deceitful. See the devil deceives you when he knows how to read you. When he no longer needs you. See how fast he deletes you.
This is 5 reasons why the honey badger don't give a shit. Firstly, they are immune against pretty much any venomous creature. If they get bit by a snake, they usually pass out, but they will wake up a few hours later and literally just get a bad hangover. Second, they have a very thick layer of skin and fur, making spike attacks from porcupines useless. Hyenas and leopards will also have a very hard time penetrating the skin. Thirdly, their defense is impeccable. No matter where their adversary attack from, they can easily squirm around and counter the attack. This is because they have very loose skin and flexible joints. The fourth reason is that they have an immensely fearless mindset. They literally never back down from a fight and always go straight for the balls, no matter the size advantages. Lastly, their reputation precedes them. Lions, hyenas, leopards, pretty much any big predator fears the little devil because they know that the outcome won't be pretty.
Wet like soul glow. The only DJ that can call me constantly on. My firepower keep me warm in the raw. The only DJ that can call me constantly on. My firepower keep me warm in the raw. So I adversaries that make me scary. This is how to be burning cause I'll be rocking in the fucking hood. So I adversaries that make me scary. This is how to be burning cause I'll be rocking in the fucking hood.
Everybody shut, lay nigga, why you talking and broke? They full of six.
Fuck you to the FBI. Fuck you to the CIA. Fuck you to the BUSH. Fuck you to the American kicker. Fuck you to all you redneck reckless motherfuckers that wanna fuck y'all. Gay, sensitive, little dick bastards. Two-apocalypse motherfucking there.
From NPR News, I'm Guy Raz. In 1933, Senator Henry D. Hatfield, a Republican from West Virginia, wrote a letter to a friend complaining about President Franklin Roosevelt.
This is despotism, this is tyranny, this is the annihilation of liberty. The ordinary American is thus reduced to the status of a robot. The president has not merely signed the death warrant of capitalism, but has ordained the mutilation of the Constitution unless the friends of liberty, regardless of party, band themselves together to regain their lost freedom.
When Sally Denton came across that letter, it sounded amazingly contemporary. So she dug further and came across a whole series of attacks and even plots against FDR. She's written about it in a new book called The Plots Against the President, and the story begins just weeks before Roosevelt's inauguration in 1933. It was one of the darkest moments of the Depression, and many people in America were calling for a dictator to get the country back on track.
Unemployment is skyrocketing. The country is rocking precariously, economically, in all ways. And it's hard for us today to realize that in 1933 that the country was reeling. There were suggestions that capitalism was not working, that democracy was not working. Various intellectuals, and I mean not crackpots, were really considering the possibility of fascism, of communism, of socialism, of Nazism. The whole country was in play.
We often hear about the times just before President Kennedy was killed and how he was really vilified by his opponents, and some people suggest that that is what led to his assassination, that climate. You describe an almost similar climate in the early 1930s, 1933, that surrounded Roosevelt. Talk about some of the people who were sort of vitriolically opposed to him and what they said about him.
As I was writing this book, sometimes I felt like I could close my eyes and just transpose, modern day vitriol to what was happening. There was this sense that Roosevelt was radically changing the relationship between the government and the governed. And there was great fear about that in many quarters, both the right and the left. So you had these enemies like Father Coughlin on the right, who was concerned that he was becoming a communist, a tool of Jewish moneyed interests. Then Huey Long on the left, who thought that he wasn't going far enough to redistribute the wealth. And then you had, right-wing reactionary veterans organizations. You had Wall Street interests.
It's interesting because there was really genuinely a conspiracy at a certain point to overthrow the Roosevelt administration, to replace it with a kind of a crypto-fascist movement. And this was the people behind it were mostly financiers, bankers, part of a group called the American Liberty League. Who were they?
Well, they were some of the wealthiest people in America. I think the handful of people that were really behind the Liberty League controlled assets worth more than $40 billion.
They thought he was a socialist, or even worse.
They thought he was a socialist. I don't know. A lot of times it was unclear whether or not they were able to even distinguish between what a socialist was or a communist. Or there was just this sense that he was upsetting the status quo.
These bankers were behind something that became known as the Wall Street Putsch. What was their plan?
They thought that they could convince Roosevelt, because he was of their class, of the patrician class, they thought that they could convince Roosevelt to relinquish power to basically a fascist military-type government. It was a cockamamie concept. And the fact that it even got as far as it did is pretty shocking.
How far did it get?
It got far enough so that they had had at least $3 million invested and claimed to have up to $300 million at the ready. They appealed to a retired general, to lead it. And had he been a different kind of person, it might have gone a lot further. But he saw it as treason and reported it to Congress.
There are elements and themes in this book that seem almost to have been ripped from today's headlines. You know, talking about President Roosevelt as a part of a Jewish conspiracy, it sort of makes you think about the birther movement and whether President Obama was born overseas or if he's a crypto-Muslim. And did that occur to you as you were writing this?
Oh, absolutely. It was stunning to me that all these kind of paramilitary organizations and trying to prove basically that he was not one of us. I mean, this whole fear of the other and the demonization of Roosevelt has so many parallels to what's been going on in the country with Obama. And he was of Dutch Huguenot ancestry, and they were trying to prove that he was Jewish, trying to trace his bloodlines. You know, it seems to me that going through history here, there are times that we need to have a demon, somebody that's not of us, in order to solidify our fears and our anxieties. And I don't know what that is in the impulse of the American body politic, but the fact that this is 75 years later and some of these same impulses are continue.
That's author Sally Denton. Her new book is called The Plots Against the President. President Roosevelt, of course. Thanks so much for joining me, Sally.
Thank you.
One woman, for example, who told me and a few other reporters that this was not terribly surprising to her because they, whoever they is, don't want Trump to win, so they tried to kill him. And these rally goers were very shaken up, and they, I think, were following the logical conclusion of the rhetoric that Trump often uses. And I know Franco Ordonez, my colleague, was saying this earlier, that Trump often tells his crowds, they're coming, they want to come for you, but I'm standing in their way.
That's how he's talked about the multiple criminal cases that he's facing, absolutely.
Correct, yes, very good stipulation there. And so you can see this kind of fitting into that as, like, look, they did try to come for me. Like, whoever the nebulous they is, it's some nefarious force that is trying to take down the MAGA movement. And so you can see this fitting into that worldview.
Yeah.
In 2018, the World Economic Forum discussed the possibilities of mind control using sound waves. This is something that several people have claimed to be a target of. They have become known as targeted individuals. A subcommittee for Homeland Security was recently held to discuss this technology and the targeting of U.S. government employees and their families. This is commonly known as the Havana Syndrome and dates back to 2016 when U.S. diplomatic personnel in Cuba experienced unexplained health problems.
Guys, if your assessments here are correct, these are very covert weapons, aren't they? They don't leave behind bomb fragments, bullet holes, etc. They could absolutely be used by our adversaries and have very low levels of, very easy to deny that they were even there, that they were used. Is that correct?
That's correct. There's no entry or exit wound. How they're designed is to make the target feel like they're crazy, like they're imagining things, especially on the low duration, the low intensity, long duration hits.
Have any of you three panelists ever seen one of these weapons?
I have seen a 1991 version of the weapon, and it looks like a satellite dish with a unit this size attached to it. And of course, over the years, miniaturization has been possible. Obviously, there's a limitation to how miniaturized it can be because of the antenna size, which is always related to the wave. But still, it is something that can be well contained in the trunk of a car or even a large backpack. My experience shows that it can be cobbled together. It's something that can, a rough, crude version of this that would probably require longer exposure than the more advanced version that has been tested, as we see from this document, can be put together inexpensively. But again, I would abstain from commenting further, lest I encourage people to try it at home.
What you all are saying is there's a government cover-up of the fact that something is out there afflicting, targeting us.
The government in the IC assessment is wrong. It's dead wrong. I can't tell you if it's a cover-up, why they're doing this, malfeasance. I won't go there.
So cover-up would depend on intent. There could be good reasons to withhold information. I will say that the public statements that the executive branch is making is inconsistent with the classified record. And then it would be Congress's job as an oversight authority to determine why that is, whether it was a legitimate reason to mislead the public or because of some nefarious reason, or all the above.
Mr. Grozev said you spoke to a Russian agent who said that they believe that Americans are using these same weapons on them. Is that correct?
That is correct, back in the 80s.
Might that have something to do with part of the CIA's motive to cover up the existence of this tech and these weapons?
That is a very logical possibility.
While it was admitted that this technology is being used, the discussion was focused primarily on Russia, as if to create more incentive to escalate war with the Russian Federation. When the question of whether it has been used on the American population was raised, it was dismissed with a smile.
Are any of you aware of any reported incidents from individuals who are not members of the United States government? Domestically, I should say?
There are many people who believe they are victims of AHIs. All you have to do is look at my Twitter feed whenever I post on the topic. I only represent federal government employees and their families, so I don't focus on the accuracy of those particular claims.
There is plenty of evidence showing that the targeted individuals who claim to be victims of this were the guinea pigs in today's all-out assault on the American people. And our government is far more concerned with starting another war. Reporting for InfoWars, this is Greg Reese.
Okay, so I've been looking at their technology effects here. This is the stuff that they always do in video. Standard operational procedure. It goes all the way back to Phoenix. You know, as a point, one of the things they'll do is bring something up, which I've brought up with them before. And then they pass it off as being theirs. This is one of the ways they've labeled me dishonest, and it's one of the ways in which they're hiding my intelligence. The reality is these FBI agents, just like Beata, and I can't claim Jurgen, but just like Beata, they don't get jack shit about one goddamn thing in regards to this world and the power structure and how it works. Jurgen is the only agent, literally the only agent I've met in my life that had a really good grasp of the political players and the power structure, and he understands how shit works. But he's literally the only agent I've met who really does understand this shit. The difference between Jurgen and Beata, as a point, is night and day. And that's how it is here with these agents and myself. This is why I said to the agents out in Phoenix, I said to them, I said, you want to know how I am? I said, take the technology off so I can write my book. I'm conscious and intelligent. They just don't see it because they're affecting me all of the time. That makes them idiots, not me. Then they go believing I'm stupid. That's the point. They're set up and tricked with their own goddamn technology effects. They're balls to the walls incompetent. That's what I mean. They're so incompetent, it's difficult for people to comprehend here. So then my best guess is, because they always do damage control, they never, ever let people in on their mistakes. It's all about damage control and looking the best. And they aren't. In their case, they're balls to the walls desperate to hide the truth of what a bunch of fuck-ups they are. So my best guess is they'll label it as, well, we've tricked them. Those weren't actual mistakes. We did it deliberately. No, that's a goddamn lie. I see them do this all the time. You know, they had this guy rob me, speaking of Phoenix, out at the canal with a gun. And Pee-wee fucked up. I almost ended up taking out him and his goddamn sidekick because I was worried about women and children. So then what Pee-wee did is he hijacked me when I was on the phone with my sister, made me angry, and then she's supposed to make a connection. Man, if I had been angry when those guys had first come up to me, it would have been game over. So they're trying to sell I'm angry and dangerous and this and that. And the reality is Pee-wee almost got 2 of his people taken out because I was worried about women and children. You tell me, does he know how to profile? He's the one that set the circumstances up. So then to do damage control and to hide his slight fucking mistake here that he almost got 2 of his own people killed, and then I would have been straight to the goddamn newspapers about the FBI and how they tried murdering me. Hello? Are you hearing me here? He's trying to hide how heavily he fucked up, and he did it by affecting me on the phone with my sister. That is all he did. But take a look at the real circumstances here. They fuck up like this all of the time. This is actually where Patsy is at. This is what they're worried about in regards to Russian agents. So, but that is why I brought that up with Pee-wee out in Phoenix. I said, if you want to know me, just lower the technology so I can do my writing and you'll see real me, because that's where I operate from the entire time. I'm no different than David Icke. You think David Icke just does lectures? That's all built into his hard drive. He views the world around him that way. You, Beata, and you, Jurgen, don't get it because you're a couple of superficial fakes and a couple of broken dinosaurs like my parents. You do not grow and change. You do not evolve and grow, period. You are the way you are now is the way you'll be 50 years from now. That's exactly how you are. How David Icke is, how I am, and many people like me, Monica, Andre, all sorts of people here. This is how we are. It's a particular type of person. You do not know how to profile. Furthermore, you haven't cleaned your shit up. You're fucked. I don't wipe the floor up with you in interviews. And everybody here. Point is, I've pointed out my psychology, and they read the fake psychology into the answers I give. You understand? So if that's not beyond incompetent, then I don't know what is. Again, Beata is her own proof. But I want to get back to their tricks here. They've got a memory cage on me most of the time. I can't remember shit from just a couple of days ago. So they've got this memory cage on me. They affect you, literally impair your thinking, so you can't think about shit. And as a result, these agents remain in the dark in regards to all sorts of shit. Their whole focus has been passing on a profile I don't have while they themselves are looking at my real profile now. That's exactly what's going on with the FBI here. The problem for these agents and Horvat and her officers is that this is not about the fake profile. That constantly grows and changes and more incredible theories get invented for it and on and on and on. It's not about that. It's about my profile. So, as I've told Horvat and her officers and these agents here, you're finished. The moment somebody starts looking at what it is I am saying, instead of believing all of this far-out fantastic shit, it's game over. They keep trying to invent other ways, as a point. They know where I'm coming from in regards to all sorts of stuff. All they do is hit me up with the lies they're selling to others here. They're showing me what it is they're communicating behind the scenes for getting away with. This is how it was with Horvat and her officers. And they're passing it off to German agents. Well, he's confused. That's actually how he is. He's in denial, and on and on. They're just stupid and incompetent. That's why I don't waste my time with a lot of this shit anymore. But the point is, how they got there is based on how they analyze and the fact that they never double-check shit after hearing, well, that's not my profile. They labeled me as having motives I've never had, lying and manipulating to go free. That's never been true at all, and Monica knows that. She was a witness. She lived with me. She knew I had changed. Hello. So my point is, if you just look at the things I've brought up here, you can start to add it up, and you can start to see things for what it is. They labeled Monica as delusional. Actually, she knew that I could go free here. She saw the difference with me. And take a look at how they did this. They sold I was lying and manipulating to go free. A goddamn idiot could have seen the truth of me back in 2002. Yet German agents went believing I'm a threat to agencies. And Horvat piecemealed my life. She cherry-picked it and took singular events and built a fantastic psychology out of all of it for my so that she had a reason for holding me in. And I had no idea. Monica had no idea. We both knew I should go free here. And simply based on how I was. And that's the entire point. Horvat and her officers were a witness to this, but they lied about all of it. It's just their word against mine. That's the entire point. So it's time for somebody to take a look here at what it is these agents have been hiding. Everybody is focused on the lies they communicate to you. It's real simple. They've invented excuses and lies for all sorts of things I bring up in videos. That's the truth of it. So they've got excuses and lies, and then you're focused on that. You're not focused on what's coming out of my mouth. You're pretending to be an agent. That's what they're doing with people from alternative media. They're schooling people. And actually, all they're doing is programming you. And quite literally, how they're doing it is saying, well, this is how agents do stuff. And if this is this, that's how you end up being tricked. What's this about? This is about German agents being tricked. How did they get there? Instead of recognizing I'm speaking the truth about everything, they've re-psychoanalyzed everything into something it's not. Real life circumstances here, and they've got their heads up their asses pretending to be agents. The reality is they didn't question anything. They weren't objective, and they didn't find out from the very beginning. They've been prejudiced and biased, and just from the beginning believed, oh, agents are telling the truth. Hello? Like I just woke up one day talking about this shit. That's not how real life works. They've been even halfway objective and asked themselves, well, if he's telling the truth, how would it be from his side of the fence? They didn't even do that much. The point is, they could have figured out my psychology back in 2002 for what it was if they considered if it's real and true. Strangely enough, I then, years upon years later here, bring up how I was back then, and they're like, well, you're reinventing the past. Hello? This is how incompetent they are. They make excuses for their goddamn mistakes, and then they end up believing their own excuses. They then go labeling that as delusional, and I'm not honest with myself when the reality is it's plain, simple common sense. I was the one that was there. Hello? So you've got a group of lying agents versus me. And my whole profile is about speaking the truth in the first place. But the key point is, it's what anybody with half a brain does in my circumstances. That is one of the points here. From the very beginning, they could ask themselves, well, why would he be saying this? Hello? You get it? That's not what they did. They were never objective the entire time and way. That is why they're so fucked up in the head in regards to what they believe about me. It's why they can't see me in regards to honeypots. They don't even get what it is I'm angry about, and on and on. I'm not wasting my time explaining myself to fuck-ups when they reinvent my psychology. This is about them not cleaning up their mistakes. So we're going public here, and they're going down the toilet. I'll tell you the story with Ted Cruz here. They affected me. This was a long time ago, last year. Had me contact Ted Cruz. And because they knew I had already spoken about Russians and approaching the elite, but they picked Ted Cruz and were affecting me into contacting them, and I didn't bring up everything. And the FBI was out to lunch in regards to how I do my shit and my psychology, all sorts of stuff. I mean, they got all sorts of things. They've been investigating. They've been getting to the bottom of my profile. So, but the thing is, there's shitloads they did not get. As opposed, they get more now than they did back then. And the thing is, I never brought up what is really going on. So I'm like, fuck you all. I'll be contacting Ted here. I'll give him a copy of my book and, probably send him some video links. But that's how that got started, actually. And so I figured they had already gotten away with lying to him because they are the ones who picked him. I'm not stupid. From the very beginning, I figured that's what that's about. So I didn't bring up any of this. Now I've contacted the Russian embassy. I want to get citizenship. I'll get them on the inside of this shit. And, tonight I'll be sending off emails to politicians. Somebody's going to wake up to what is going on here. Chinese Ray and his pissants here will be hiding it from everybody. The key point is they already lied to Ted Cruz. That's how that works. And I knew it from the very goddamn beginning. They do all this shit with technology, and they get everybody to buy into the technology. The whole thing's a Disneyland. They're lying through their teeth in regards to all sorts of shit, in regards to what they're doing with the technology and how they're misusing it. Every time I bring up the truth of how they're misusing it, they've got a lie to plop down on top of it. Actually, the truth is what's coming out of my mouth, and what you're being told is a bunch of fucking bullshit. And you got there by pretending to be objective with people that you ought to begin to realize if you're at least halfway objective, you cannot be trusting them and believing what it is they're telling you. It's that simple. Actually, I'm speaking the truth, and they are lying about me. So take a look at what they've said to you, and take a look at how they're smearing my name. That is what is going on. Then you look from what I've just communicated to you, and you start looking, you'll see they're using it all over the place. You can wake up to how they're lying to you, but nobody's done it.
Perception is everything. Opportunities are all around us. Riches and rewards beyond our wildest dreams. But we are blind and cannot see, so they do not exist. The only reality we can possibly inhabit is the reality that we create ourselves. We wish to change the world around us. We must change the way that we look at it.
Wasn't real. He's saying that if they prove voter fraud, which obviously was a possibility, or else he wouldn't be concerned about this, right? If they actually investigated it and there were proofs of voter fraud, his concern is that the left would start a civil war. So that's why we have President Biden as president right now. That's why. Because the effort to investigate the election of 2020 was shut down out of fear of leftist violence. Totally crazy. I thought he showed a lack of judgment. Triggering riots in every major city in America, you've got to be really sure about what you're doing and have no alternatives. In my estimation, that's not the sort of situation we're talking about. Again, he just brings it up over and over. This is the fourth time he said triggering riots in every major city in America, which he probably knew about because he's probably in with the people that are orchestrating it. We have all these leftist groups going, I'm telling you, Pat, we're going to burn the city down if you prove that there's voter fraud. He's going, oh, geez, that would be terrible. So that was the calculus he ran. The calculus he ran was you can tell the truth, and the left is going to burn down American cities and start a civil war, or you can lie and let them cheat in the election and let Biden be installed, and they won't pull the trigger. The gun they're holding to your head, they'll put back in their holster. They won't pull the trigger. So we were threatened and blackmailed and intimidated and terrorized out of having an election investigation. Okay? And now the people that actually were trying to investigate are being disbarred and criminally charged. Clark has since been charged alongside Trump in Georgia for their efforts to overturn the election. And Clark was identified by Smith as a conspirator in the Washington, D.C. case. See, so, yeah, Philbin said the mass resignation threat that caused Trump to back down from Clark's appointment was partially his idea. He recalled a similar mass resignation threat from his days as a lawyer in the George W. Bush administration over warrantless wiretapping that similarly affected policy decisions. So he said he advised Rosen to take the temperature of the DOJ leadership about how they would react if Trump appointed Clark as acting attorney general. So, again, Trump's like, you guys aren't doing what I say. They're like, no, we're not. We refuse to, because if we tell the truth, then the left will start a civil war. He says, all right, well, I'm going to put Clark in. And they say, well, then we're all going to resign if you do that. We're going to shut down your entire administration, and you're going to end your tenure as president in humiliation and failure without anybody in your corner. They forced it. They blackmailed. This is treason. This was the coup that took place. And they did this to Trump multiple times. You remember Trump tried to remove Fauci, and his entire medical staff said, if you remove Fauci, we'll all resign. This is the pressure. This is the power move that they play. This is how it works. This is the conspiracy. This is the fraud. This is the coup. This is the treason that has conquered our nation. You get all these scumbags in positions of power, and they act as a unit to oppose the will of the voters. And even when the president tries to do what's right, tries to investigate credible claims of fraud, they say, if you carry out this investigation, our entire staff is everybody's leaving. And so he's forced to it. They did exactly the same thing with Fauci. Trump said, this Fauci guy's no good. I'm going to fire him. Deborah Birx and Francis Collins, they all said, if you fire Fauci, we are all going to quit. And here in the middle of this pandemic, right, they're and again, if you believe their perception of the world, they're playing with your lives, right? They're sitting there going, we're in the middle of a worldwide pandemic, and we're just going to leave the American people out to dry, hang them out to dry, leave them without a federal coordination effort to combat this if you dare to fire Anthony Fauci, even though he's wrong about everything, lies about everything, and causing major trouble. So this is the pressure that they wield. This is the way that they get things done. This is the real treason. This is the deep state. It's all on display. They're bragging about it. And anybody that Trump tried to appoint to actually do the right thing is now at risk of losing their law license and maybe going to jail for a very long time. As a message to anybody else, you listen to us, you listen to the deep state, you do what we do. If you try to listen to the chain of command and take orders from the executive, not only will you be flustered and foiled from doing that by our behind-the-scenes manipulations, but we'll come back 3 years later and throw your ass in jail. So just don't do it. So just don't listen to Trump. Listen to us, because we'll kill you if you don't. And we have to certify the election because the left will kill everyone if we don't. And our entire country at this point is being governed by threats of violence. Either state-sanctioned violence, where you throw a man in a concrete box for the rest of his life, or mob violence, where those same people coordinate with Antifa cells in every major city to activate Black Lives Matter and Antifa and burn down the nation. Really an incredible story. An incredible article, lays it all out in their own words, how they were doing this. Just incredible. We talked about some of the theories of fraud that were around. They'd been debunked, and there wasn't really any there. Nothing was debunked. There's no debunking. There wasn't. They just didn't talk about it because it was impossible to debunk. You had people giving testimony under oath saying, I saw with my own eyes fraud. You can't debunk that. Nothing about that can be debunked. If the president made him acting attorney general, Jeff Clark, people at the DOJ would probably resign. There's going to be just a massive wave of resignations. People weren't going to be following him to pursue these theories of fraud. Again, just the way he phrases, if this is just going to happen, he's coordinating it. He's getting in contact with everybody and going, hey, if he puts Clark in charge, we're all going to resign. Okay, we're going to tell him that we're going to resign if he does that. All right. And then when he's giving the testimony, he's like, yeah, people were going to resign. Yeah, this was all just happening. Sort of leaving out the part that he was coordinating this effort in a deliberate attempt to undermine, undercut, subvert the duly elected president of the United States. Just incredible. Assured failure, he says. Because if they didn't prove fraud, that'd be a failure. And if they did prove fraud, lefties would start a civil war. And that's why we have Joe Biden as president.
In a recent interview with Clayton Morris on Redacted, U.S. Border Patrol agent turned filmmaker J.J. Carroll discussed his new documentary and the fact that prison facilities are being built in all 50 states to hold millions of political dissidents.
And there's detention facility bids to build individual detention facilities in every state in the union. And then she goes on to say to me, well, JJ, who do you think they're built for? And she says in this interview, they're for dissidents, American dissidents.
The FEMA camps were reported decades ago. This was never an outrageous conspiracy theory. The U.S. government has been framing American patriots as the enemy for decades, and the reason should be obvious. Those who have been in control of the U.S. government for generations have no interest in serving the people in accordance to the Constitution or otherwise. Our country is being destroyed from within, and the rule of law has been weaponized against those who defend it. Hundreds of innocent Americans have been arrested and thrown in jail because they chose to peacefully protest the 2020 stolen election. And others, such as Jeremy Brown, a Green Beret who was approached in late 2020 by federal agents trying to recruit him for the Jan 6 false flag operation, was arrested after going public with this information by the same federal agents. He was put in maximum security prison where he remains to this day, his 1,000th day in federal prison. Hundreds of innocent Americans have been in jail for years, and several have been tortured. Much of America is okay with the fact that hundreds are rotting in jail for a peaceful protest. It's already become the norm. While it's definitely worth celebrating the release of Julian Assange, the American people have never been more divided. The Daily Mail reports that more than 40% of Americans think a new civil war will be fought within the next decade. According to one poll, more than 4 in 10 U.S. voters say the country is likely to get ripped apart in a second civil war within 5 years. And another shows that over 100 million Americans say that civil war is coming. Based on the recommendation of think tank Policy Horizons, Canada has been preparing for an American civil war, including cyber attacks and grid failures following the 2024 presidential election. The soldiers of the New World Order are not going to die easy. They are apparently willing to spark a nuclear conflict with Russia and are already writing new laws to bring back the draft.
So women have never been required to register for the draft, but that could soon change thanks to lawmakers on Capitol Hill.
Martha, good morning. The Senate version of the National Defense Authorization Act, which sets out military and national security priorities, would require women to register for selective service. It concludes, quote, "This is a necessary and fair step, making it possible to draw on the talent of a unified nation in a time of national emergency." Now, there are two different versions of this bill, one in the House, one in the Senate, so it's possible women in the draft could get dropped as lawmakers iron out the differences.
So while women may get dropped from this bill, our government is bringing back the draft while provoking a major war with Russia. They have their bunkers, and they've already jailed hundreds for protesting an election. So they'll definitely jail draft dodgers and everyone else who stands in their way, unless we unite against them. Reporting for InfoWars, this is Greg Reese.
Said to the FBI, well, you get I'm real and true. You get my real profile here. You get I've been telling the truth. This is what you got to do. And the FBI didn't do it. You got to tell German authorities, period. End of story. Where I was is, well, this is now, you're in the same boat as the CIA. This is between this is between you and Horvat and her officers. I'm going free. I'm about my freedom here. Because you're not going to do anything. The reality is they're worried about damaged relations with Germany. Strangely enough. So what are they doing? They're doing nothing in regards to an extremely dangerous mess, you little asswipe. Take a look at how much time you spent thinking about a goddamn thing. Take a look at how much time your agency spent thinking about this back in 2002, asshole. You can't handle real life. You've not analyzed with finding out what the truth is as being your intentions and goal. Fucking amateur. So this is where I was with the FBI, all the way back in Phoenix at the very beginning. You're not going to get them, and holding me in is a lie. You're doing what? Actually, what Special Ray and the head of the CIA was doing is claiming, well, we're collecting more information. Somehow we'll find a way of getting them out, playing them on their psychology and this and that, and it's all a lie. Everybody knows this. It's the lie in the living room. It's the pink elephant in the living room with the heads of agencies here, USA agencies. It's a lie. The only reason why they're holding me and stalking and, quote, collecting more information is so that Special Ray here doesn't look like a fuck-up for not alerting German authorities in the first place. That is why. You got a real dangerous mess, and take a look at your clown world. So take a look at your perspective. You wrote it off as I'm lying and manipulating in regards to German agencies. That's because you are so identified with your homies here, you don't understand what is actually going on, you fucking amateur. This is what this is about. They are black and you are black. You are homie to homie. They are white and you are white. Homie to homie. This is about your goddamn stereotypes and your goddamn prejudices in the first place, which is how your agency fucked up from day one. Your analyzing is out in the open. In the last video I goddamn did. That is how you did it. You think the FBI gave it to me? This is what I pointed out to them. They see me noting this, and then they looked, well, what am I looking at? What do you think I meant by out in Phoenix? Tell them to lower the technology so I can explain myself. Never let it happen. In the meantime, they're not affecting me, and I'm giving them real profile information all the way back in Phoenix and here. I gave them a fair chance. And all they did was stab me in the back, you fucking asshole. That is why I am absolutely clear about where the fuck the FBI is. I gave them every opportunity to get this ended, and they didn't do it, you fuck up. Well, here's another point. I see the lie and manipulation they're getting away with the video I did yesterday. They're just finding this information out. Oh, no. FBI knew about all of this. I see they've quite literally reversed shit. When I get to be normal, they're selling, well, it's us. We gave it to them. We're affecting them. They're not affecting me at all. In fact, what they got is a memory cage on me, so I can only bring up so much, you fucking asswipe. This is all shit I gave them in which they were getting behind the scenes while I was trying to explain to you what I gave to them, and they were affecting me, so I couldn't do it, you fucking amateur. You thought you tricked me with this computer program like you're speaking to me normally? Of course, they had to block the memory of our cat being killed and my finding out within the hour before. But you think I was being tricked? I'm just responding to you being normal with me and me giving you an honest answer. It's what I've been doing the entire time in the first place, fuck up. That's the point. I was open and honest with these agents even here, not just Phoenix, in regards to profile information. And they did not pass it on to you, asshole. That is why when I finally get to give you what I gave them, you think I'm delusional and they're feeding me a fake profile. Actually getting the real profile information, asshole. Think I'm going to give them more profile information when they haven't passed on what I already gave them and it's enough for you understanding you had everything wrong to begin with? You fuck up? Of course not. Jesus, you're stupid. So then you went labeling that as lying and manipulating. Go fuck yourself. Double check your facts before you go claiming shit you don't actually fucking know, asshole. I'm not even going to tell you the truth of it. Fuck you. You can start finding this out in interviews, you prick, you piece of fucking shit. Man, you should have double-checked. You should have considered the possibilities. What are you going to do when you find out the truth? Apologize? You're going to be sitting there and you're going to be like, man, I'm fucked. I fucked up. It's going to be all of you. You're going to be obvious for what you are. You do not get to live these lies about yourself anymore. Take a look at all the fucking up here you've done and how you've done it. So getting back to the earlier point here, take a look at the CIA and Wuppertal. And I said, no, it's a bunch of bullshit. It's a lie. Because Horvat did know the truth after 2010. The next point is she had deliberately held me in stalking regardless. Then take a look at where I'm at in Phoenix, you fucking asshole. I was different. Things changed. How do you think that is? CIA already burned me, and take a look at the FBI here, you fuck up. What's different? I realize the FBI is not going to go after him either. Hello? So finished. That's between the FBI and the CIA and Horvat and her officers. Not my problem anymore. That's the fucking difference, asshole. If you'd spent any time thinking about this, instead of being told what to believe, you wouldn't have fucked up. My point is you didn't double check your own shit here before you went killing again. Your ass is mine, both of you. Man. So, that's it. And what was it? I'm sure Horvat was communicating it. Typical Horvat here. So, it's all about your families now. Somebody should have explained what they themselves knew, going all the way back to Phoenix, to you all. So, you didn't double check jack shit. And nothing I mentioned in the last video is new for the FBI here. Hello? I'll tell you how I fucked the FBI. I told them, well, you wanna know my profile, then you start figuring it out on your own. You keep your goddamn ignorance. You either actually learn to do your fucking jobs, or you're not getting jack shit. You gotta actually work and figure me out here. And that's how they got fucked by me. And they're still fucking themselves. So that's on them, and that's on you. But this lie that you two, oh, you wait. Once I get this all exposed here, you're going to know that's game over for you two. So, man, I can't wait for that day to happen. You two could have actually, hello? Boy, you're going to get that one. You threw common sense right into the garbage can all over the place. Strangely enough, that's why you couldn't see me, because you labeled it all delusional. You had to, first you looked through the sunglasses of delusional, then you came up with these crazy theories and ideas, which you then believed. That's what you did with our cat here. That's what you brought up with me last night. You quite literally addressed where you address me from viewpoints which I don't even have. You fucked up royally, fuck up. So, once again, world of shit. I see you. You continue to not see me because you didn't clean up your mistakes. So, you go on believing I'm a psychopath here, and this is all getting exposed. I'm going to sleep here, and then I'm sending off this book and emails to every politician except Ted Cruz and Obama here. Since those are the two they've already got picked out and no doubt have already lied to. The moment you start buying into stalking, it's finished. So, but the FBI is not getting away with this lie anymore, and neither are you. And the one that's going to be obvious for everybody else, because everybody else has got common sense. First thing you notice about anybody that's programmed, common sense right in the garbage. How did you get there? And it's all over the place. You do not see my profile as it is because you didn't even look at things from common sense. If you had done it, you would have seen me. Honeypots, perfect example. Why I'm angry, one more perfect example. So you put yourselves there. You're responsible for your own intelligence and your job performance here. So, yes, you're in the world of shit. And I cannot wait for it to get there now. And now it's going to be happening. Politicians here, all of them. And then it's a lawyer and interviews. And then every penny is into exposing this. That's how it's playing out now. And once I get interviews, politicians are going to be wanting to contact me. You're finished. I've nailed you in regards to how you analyze shit here. Furthermore, the FBI already has noted me in regards to analyzing you here, in regards to all of this. They didn't give it to me. I'm only getting to communicate it to you for the first time, you fucking idiot. So you got a lot of nerve accusing me of lying and manipulating. That is you in denial of your homies. Fuck you, you goddamn dumb Nazi. Fuck you. So we're finished here. I refuse to be doing videos for dumbasses.
You old fake ass nigga, standing there wearing all them Beatles and khakis and all that. You soft as a motherfucking grape. Ain't this a motherfucking bitch? I can see right through your flower ass. Some of these niggas is bitches too, man, I tell you. It's gonna be harder and harder to be a thug in 94. Yeah, we finna do this shit like this.
They've gotten, it only takes a few minutes of recording from a phone call to sample that voice. And there's a number of programs, including one called Adobe Voco, and there's another one called Lyrebird, Lyre Bird. And these programs can take a very short sample of somebody's voice and duplicate it. And so then what they'll do is take your father's voice, and for 24 hours a day, he'll sit there and say, you're stupid, you're fat, you're worthless. Why don't you kill yourself? You're an idiot. 24 hours a day. It is psychological torture. And people cannot appreciate the depth of heinousness. I don't even know what word to use. It's incredible that it's a very disabling, harmful weapon. And psychological torture, of course, is absolutely against the law according to the Geneva Conventions. Even if you're an enemy combatant, they're not allowed to do this. But yet the CIA and the Space Force are funding this to attack ordinary civilians. And so it's beyond belief that it's occurring, but we have so many examples of it. We've recorded the voices on some people, so we know what's happening. We've had people with a V2K write down pages and pages of the talk and chatter that goes on it. It's clear that much of it is computer generated as well as the voice, although we do have examples of people that get what we call manual V2K. And we've got an example of a gentleman that lives here in Houston. He's actually a British citizen, and he's lived in the United States for more than 10 years. And he's been a targeted individual for that entire time. And he has 4 male voices that harass him all day long. And then randomly during the day, he'll get room, attention, at ease, man, at ease. So, I mean, and these are in American voices, not British English and American English. And so he says, I've deduced very quickly that, military people are involved in this, and that it just runs 24 hours a day. So they've got 4 full-time people, 24 hours a day, manually sitting in a room harassing him. It's an incredible waste of resources, but for whatever reason, they've selected a small number of people to go through this manual V2K procedure.
How
It's
do you
very
know it's
strange.
manual versus automated?
Well, because the things such as the officer walking into the room randomly during the day in the middle of the night suggests very strongly, and it's not proof, but it suggests very strongly that it's manual. And the fact that the voices change regularly on a day-to-day basis, it's not the same pre-programmed voices, that suggests that it's manual as well. And again, this is an anomaly. It's typically done a computer-generated voice. So you've seen how some of these Chat GPT type conversation bots can just generate conversation based on a few inputs, and that tends to be the majority of the people. And it's very easy to detect when you see it written down on a page. You can see this is computer generated. It's sudden changes in the tone of the conversation, sudden changes in the subject matter. It's like that's not the way people talk. This is clearly a computer generated conversation, and it just goes on 24 hours a day. If it was a manual person, they would have to take bathroom breaks, lunch breaks, but no, it's a 24-hour a day voice.
That's just incredible. So what do you think the point of, it makes these people crazy, right? I mean, it seems that they're trying to see how long it takes to break somebody or to,
yes,
that's what it seems like. They're purposely trying to make someone crazy.
That appears to be the goal. One of the goals of the program is to break down the individual, get them to either surrender or commit a heinous crime for which they spend the rest of their life in prison, or commit suicide. And that appears to be a, quote, success story for the CIA. If they can get somebody to commit suicide, you've taken yourself out. They consider that as success, as horrible as that sounds.
Well,
but that's the level of mentality of these CIA people that work in the PSYOPs division.
So that's almost, instead of having somebody that goes and kills somebody, this is another way to neutralize people in a less,
correct,
in a non-obvious way that makes the person look crazy, makes the person look like they did it.
Correct. So they want plausible deniability. That's number one. Whatever actions they take in terms of organized stalking or voice to skull, they've got to have a plausible deniability there. So you'll see, we've got numerous examples where they draw the line and say, well, we're not going to cross that because then it becomes obvious that we're involved. But we see a pattern of behavior that suggests they always want deniability. So that's what we're seeing with the voice to skull, and they want someone to surrender. They want them to look crazy, so they commit them to a hospital or commit a heinous crime or kill themselves. And all of these are considered successful outcomes. So that's why we encourage TIs to be aware of it. Here's what the program objectives are. So don't do any of those things. Don't submit yourself to a psychological exam. Don't commit a heinous crime, and don't harm yourself. And as long as you do those things, their program will not be successful because they haven't neutralized you and they haven't silenced you. We encourage you to write your congressman. We encourage you to file complaints with the FBI and the police department, and keep up the pressure on them. So we've fortunately made some progress in that area. We're very pleased and proud of that, what we've done at Targeted Justice.
Yeah, I've heard some of that. We're going to be talking about some of the progress that you've made, which is really incredible, and the courage that your organization has to do this work. There are multiple categories of people who are targeted, from people that they're threatened by to just looks like just random test subjects. Can you talk a little bit about that?
That's a good point, sir. So we get all types, and again, I'm trying to just give you kind of a introductory flavor of some of the things that are involved. But there's lots of more things that go on: death threats, menacing phone calls, hacking your computer, hacking your cell phone 24 hours a day, deleting files, deleting important documents, breaking into your house and stealing things that are important. We've had many women. Here's a common complaint we get from women. They broke into their house while they were at work, went into their underwear drawer, and cut holes in all their underwear and their bras.
Jeez.
And they're just why would you do this? It's beyond bizarre.
To make them look nuts, right? To get them to go nuts.
Yeah. It's one of the common complaints that we hear, and of course, there's much worse complaints that we get, particularly from the ladies that are in the program. And by the way, women are the majority of the membership at Targeted Justice. We would say in the range of 60 to 70% of our members are female. I think this goes back to they're more easily traumatized. It's more easy to isolate them and take advantage of it and exploit them. Unfortunately, we have many, many cases of women being both physically raped and raped with microwave weapons. It's a very traumatizing experience. When they call the police and the FBI, they tell them there's no way that a microwave weapon could rape you. And yet these women are reporting it time after time after time.
There's certain frequencies that do that, right? There's bands, we've identified it. It's not that complicated in the sense, once you understand the technology, it's certain bands that cause your body to have reactions.
Well, and keep in mind, it's like a laser beam. It can be very precisely pointed based on your GPS coordinates anywhere on the body and at any angle they want, pretty much. And so without getting into too much detail, just appreciate that. Imagine an invisible laser weapon that can be pointed anywhere at any body. And it can be very very traumatizing.
And the subliminal messages are different than the voice to skull, though? These are like, what are these compared to voice to skull?
The voice to skull tends to be a very hostile message. The subliminal messages can be things, we haven't been able to record subliminal messages because they're directed at your subconscious and they're not audible by the conscious mind. Okay. So that's a little bit more difficult to record. But we see the effects of it when we see Trump derangement syndrome, when we see the gender dysphoria, when we see panic buying of certain coffee cups. It's this is a very easy way for the CIA to test which people are what we call highly suggestible. And about 1/3 of our population is in that category of highly suggestible. So when they're sent a subliminal message, they'll almost always react to it and do whatever they're instructed to. Go buy this coffee cup. You have to have it. That would be one example. Wow. So you'll see how here at the bottom, this black box that says Fusion Center, they work with organized stalking groups called InfraGard, Citizen Corps, and including many local police and sheriffs. And that puts together the program called gang stalking. There's been a number of reports from the Brennan Center and from a special Senate subcommittee on investigations that these fusion centers are violating the rights of U.S. citizens in a very harmful way. And that's been very thoroughly documented. So we have strong and compelling evidence that the fusion centers are involved.
The targeted individuals is a little bit more of an extreme program, and they seem to be lab rats, which then we start to see them roll out into the general public.
That's correct, Sarah. So yeah, the targeted individuals receive the worst of the treatment. We are seeing some of this in the general population, such as tracking on the top of your head. That's the general population. This is trying to show basically how the FBI tracks targeted individuals all over the world. We have, from information provided by the NSA and a New York Times article, as of 2019, there are approximately 200,000 targets or targeted persons in the United States and about 6 million worldwide. So that was as of 2019. So the list has clearly grown since then. But most people don't understand the level of detail that goes into the terrorist screening database. The watch list is just a very small fraction of the terrorist screening database. In fact, it's less than 0.25%, roughly 0.25%. And you'll see the no-fly list and the enhanced screening list are part of what the FBI refers to as watch list categories. Underneath that is the ones that are extremely problematic. And we call them blacklist categories because the people that are in category 3 and 4, and it consists of 97% of the TSDB list, are called non-investigative subjects. And per the Office of the Inspector General, these people have no known ties to terrorism. So why are they on this list?
How many people would you say that is?
In the United States, we would say that's between 300,000 to 400,000 people in the United States, that 97%. But that 97% applies globally as well. So it's a very large number of people, and it really begs the question: if you've got a secret list and 97% of those people have no known ties to terrorism, why are they on this list, and why did you create this list? So it brings up lots of questions. The category that triggers a lot of people is this category X at the bottom, and we got this information from Aaron Rousseau, who's a very popular filmmaker and was very connected to the Rockefeller family in New York. And he stated very clearly on one video that they tried to encourage him to join the Council on Foreign Relations as a member, and that if he did so, information would be given to the police wherever he went to never arrest or detain him, regardless of what had happened.
It's almost like a diplomat. It's like diplomatic immunity.
Yes, it's like diplomatic immunity without being a diplomat. And this information is shared with at least 60 governments all over the world.
I wouldn't be surprised. That would make a lot of sense that they'd have a category like that.
Yes. So this is where I'll give a little bit more. I just got one more slide after this, but
here's the most important part and point here. I get that everybody looking at this video, except American agents, this all sounds very far-fetched and far out. It's real simple. But I want to explain to you what it is I dealt with and went through. There are only 2 events in there, in the book, which are unauthorized. I watched 2 federal ICE agents in 2011 be targeted, and I watched a politician, one of the elite, very Mr. Creepy, be targeted in 2011. The reality is I witnessed all sorts of unauthorized stuff. Murder, crazy events which made the news, and I've never spoken about it with anybody. And the point is, when I would experience this, the first thing I would go through is disbelief. This is the one that German agents don't get because they're sloppy and incompetent. They're just always on some superficial, far-out level. They're never, in regards to me and my psychology, they're never where I'm at. What they believe is not even about me or my belief systems or how I am. That's the entire point. Bumping me out. But I myself would go through disbelief. But then I was faced into dealing with the reality of the circumstances. Horvat and her officers would give me innuendos, and the innuendos would go on and on. They would give different innuendos. It's the same way the FBI does their shit here. And the innuendos, although they would be different, would all fit the event that happened. You get it? The reason why it was done this way was to make it clear that it was them, and so that I could not be in denial, and so that I could not somehow fuck it up. And the innuendos would be repeated and go on and on is the other end of it. In regards to most of these. But the point is, there I was in Germany with Horvat and her officers. They've got a wiretap on me. They're rogue agents. I'd watch them do one of these. And how do you think it was on my end? It was like just an absolute nightmare. To top it all off, they would get away with these events. They knew it. I knew it. They knew I knew. And I was trapped and locked down with technology, and everybody around me had been lied to. And basically brainwashed, programmed. They were given a false perspective in regards to my psychology, what I believe, why I believe it, and then people would see that and react to that. That is the entire point of why I bring the situation up with German agents. It's proof that they're off in their own Disneyland. People, and the reason why I bring this all up here with me and the actual experiences, people think I'm just choosing to believe this. No, that's the entire point. I would have been more than happy for it to be not real. But that's not what I was given. That's not what I had to deal with. The next point is, how many times do you think you could be wrong about it? I witnessed all sorts of shit that wasn't authorized. You understand? I could say all sorts of shit here. But the point is, people think, well, you're just flaky, and you just want to believe that that actually happened. No, you have no idea. I was in those circumstances with Horvat, and you have no idea how many times I wished that it wasn't real and true. You understand? I make it sound like it was every day or something. It wasn't like that, but there was many a time where I would just stop and think about it, and I was like, this is just unreal. I wish that none of this was real. You get it? And I had no choice. I had to deal with the reality of the circumstances. It's the same thing here and now. So for people listening to this far out story, am I bringing up the elite here? Actually, if you get the Horvat targeted one of them, then you understand when the elite find out about this mess, they're going to be finding out who all the major players were from agencies who fucked up, and they're going to goddamn whack them. The other end of it is, which these agents have been affecting me, so I don't bring it up, Horvat had an obsession with the elite in the first place. And she was very curious about my own perceptions of certain people, and she no doubt was spying on people, these people in particular, with technology. She's looking to see, comparing me, because she knows I'm uncanny in regards to my ability to see the truth of shit and people. That's why I considered being a psych major and sociology major. I was going to go for a double major. I considered it. And, back in my college days. But, no doubt, she was double checking. And that's the point. They act as their own agency. It's a rogue group of agents with classified technology. It can reach out anywhere in the world. They can do whatever they want with it. And that was the entire point. Horvat was showing me, this is what I can do. You are a witness. Nobody believes you. I am getting away with it, and there's nothing you can do. It was like a green light for Horvat and her officers, and they just did more and more crazy shit because, of course, any single one of these stories, if I speak out about it, I sound crazy. That was the first thing I looked at. If somebody were to say this to me, I'd be like, I wouldn't believe it. You got it? Yet they've sold to German agents. I've got no sense of reality. I'm just delusional, and they just read everything delusional. And that is what this example from Phoenix illustrates. Actually, if you understand the real circumstances here, then you understand the elite will be going after people at the end of the day here. Also, you understand whether I'm alive or dead, they will be going after people. At the end of the day, Horvat and her officers are going to run, and a lot of people, mostly agents, are going to end up dead here when that happens. The story of this German agent, Beata herself, it sounds far-fetched. People don't want to believe it, because these are the lines which are not supposed to be crossed. But the reality is, in 2018, Horvat began having Beata show up in front of me downtown. And then later I, quote, met her, and I realized, okay, she's a BKA agent. Horvat's picked her out. And if you understand, Horvat and her officers have done unauthorized murder, crazy shit as well, crazier shit. Then you understand they've got no qualms, there's no morals and ethics involved with wiretapping a German agent like Beata. This is how they are. It's standard operational procedure. Horvat and her officers have been wiretapping everybody they interact with. They act as their own agency. But my point is, if you understand the actual circumstances and then you take a look at Jurgen and Beata here, take a look at how seriously they're taking any of this. At the end of the day, let's just assume I'm dead here, because they've promised to kill me within a year's time here. Let's assume I'm dead, but in a few years' time, Horvat and her officers will run because they're facing retirement. American agents and agencies are not going to alert German authorities, so they've got first move. So they will do it. And when that happens, a lot of people, agents, are going to end up dead. And take a look. Beata will be finding out the truth for the first time, and she'll realize it's all real and true. Furthermore, she'll realize Horvat actually does have her energy print. She'll realize the amount of danger she's in. Point is, she could have been an agent and double-checked her shit, at any point along the way here. And then I'm supposed to give a shit about her and Jurgen and their goddamn families while I pay for their fucking mistakes and my family pays for their mistakes? No, they could have sent me a goddamn email where, welcome to planet Earth. This is how it is in real life. My point is, they couldn't figure out basic common sense in regards to me and where I'm coming from and where I would be coming from. You understand? My point is, take a look at how seriously Beata's taken any of this, and take a look at the reality of her circumstances. Then to top it all off, hey, I don't have to give a shit about your families. You do. What do you think I'm trying to do here? I'm trying to get a dangerous mess ended because the final reality is my family's life is in danger. And my life is in danger. And who put it there? You and all German dumbasses from agencies. You didn't double check one fucking thing you believe for 22 years. Then to top it all off, you German dumbasses go labeling this as a dick waving contest on my end. I'm trying to force my way with agents and agencies. Boy, you're fucking delusional beyond belief. Actually, you've been holding me in stalking, torturing, and killing. Hello? Yeah, you explain to me the options here. So I can accept that for the rest of my life, or we can get this exposed and ended. And you turned it into a dick-waving contest on my end? So you tell me who's delusional if you're a German agent here. Clearly, your viewpoints are not about mine, are they? You fuck-ups. I measure this all by divine law. You're not conscious, intelligent people from German agencies. That most certainly applies to Jurgen and Beata here. You're not conscious or intelligent. You and your agencies have chosen the path of experience. You've put off finding out what the truth is until it's too late. You've chosen the hard way. You're going to find out through experience. You haven't analyzed one goddamn thing in regards to what's going on, what I am doing, and why I do it. You're lazy-minded. It's not even good enough wording. Okay, so these agents, by the way, wanted this all brought up. This example from Phoenix. No doubt because it all sounds very crazy and far-fetched, and the reality is, in order to understand all of this, you've got to hear all of the stories and get all of the information. They just want me speaking about the crazy and far-out stuff, and so that people just write it all off. Actually, there are stories to all of it. So I'm going to end the video there. I've got to work on emails for politicians, and I've got to send off my corrections for my book here. I've got to get that shit done. I've had my book guy on hold for like a month now, 6 weeks. So I've got to get going. So that's it.
A coward dies 1,000 deaths. A soldier dies but once. Niggas don't really know that shit so crazy. They say pussy and paper is poetry, power and pistols. Plotting on murdering motherfuckers before they get you. Picturing pitiful punk niggas copping pleas, puffing weed as I position myself to clock G's. My enemies scatter in suicidal situations, never to witness the wicked shit that they was facing. Pockets is packed with presidents, pursue your riches, evading the player hating trick while hitting switches. Bitches is bad mouth, cause ballin' motherfuckers is bold, but charge them home. The game should be sold. Them sick and psychotic society, somebody save me. Addicted to drama, so even mama couldn't raise me. Even the preacher and all my teachers couldn't reach me. I run in the streets and puffin' weed with my peeps. I'm ducking the cops, I hit the weed as I'm clutching my Glock. Niggas is hot when I hit the block. What if I die tonight? If I die tonight? If I die tonight? Polish your pistols, prepare for battle, pass the pump. When I get to poppin', niggas is dropping, then they done. Calling the coroner, come collect the fucking corpse. He got it by a killer, preoccupied with being bold. Revenge is the method, when never stepping, keep a weapon close. Adversaries are overdose over deadly notes. Jealous niggas and broke bitches equal packed jails. Hit the block and fill your pockets, making crack sales. Picture perfection, pursuing paper with a passion. Visions of prisons for all the pussies that I blasted. Running with criminals, individuals with no remorse. Try to stop me, my pistol posse using deadly force. In my brain, all I can think about is fame. The police know my name, a different game, ain't a thing changed. I'm seeing cemetery photos of my peers, conversating like they still here. If I die tonight, If I die tonight, scared to die, nigga. Is you? Huh? If I die tonight, never fear, never if I die tonight. Pussy and paper is poetry, power and pistols. Plotting on murdering motherfuckers before they get you. Pray to the heavens, 357s to the sky. And I hope I'm forgiven for thug living when I die. I wonder if heaven got a ghetto for thug niggas. A stress-free life and a spot for drug dealers. Listen while practicing how to pimp and be a player. Overdose of a dick while drinking liquor when I lay a bitch to whipping these simps for being petrified and lame. Disrespecting the game, praying for punishment and pain. Going insane, never die, live eternal. Who shall I fear? Don't shed a tear for me, nigga, I ain't happy here. I hope they bury me and send me to my rest. Headlines reading murder to death. My last breath, take a look, picture a crook on his last stand. Motherfuckers don't understand if I die tonight. Nigga, if I die tonight. No fear, nigga, never worry. If I die tonight, worry me a motherfucking G. Closed casket, fuck you, better if I die tonight. You know, tonight I get it, some shit. Murder, murder, murder. Murder, murder, murder. Tonight's the night I get it, some shit.
The escalation risk can be way too much on the other side. Yeah. Never screw with someone that has a higher threshold of pain or craziness.